I met Claire on a dating app 2 months before Valentine's Day. She was beautiful, funny, and exactly my type. Long dark hair, big brown eyes, a little shy but easy to talk to. At first, everything seemed normal. We chatted every night, had a few FaceTime calls, and even made plans to meet up in person. But for one reason or another, Claire always had to cancel at the last minute. A family emergency, a sudden fever, a work deadline. I didn't push. People had lives, and I wasn't desperate. But by the time February rolled around, I was starting to feel like something was off. Then, on February 13th, she sent me a long message. I feel terrible that we haven't met yet. Let's do something for Valentine's Day. Just you and me. I promise I won't flake this time. I stared at my phone, hesitating. I liked Claire, but after 2 months of excuses, I wasn't sure if this was a good idea. Then she sent another message. I really want to meet you, Mason. Please, let me make it up to you. Something about it felt different. I should have listened to my gut. Instead, I texted back, okay. She told me to pick her up at 8 p.m. She lived in a part of town I didn't know well. Old apartment complexes on the outskirts, mostly quiet, tucked between dead-end streets. When I got there, something about the place made my skin crawl. It wasn't run down, exactly, but it felt wrong. The buildings were too dark, too quiet. The windows were covered with heavy curtains, like the people inside didn't want to be seen. I parked near the entrance and sent Claire a message. Hey, I'm here. A few seconds later, my phone buzzed. Blocked number. I frowned. The message only said, come inside. Apartment 214. I stared at my screen. That wasn't Claire's number. Another text came through. Doors unlocked. I hesitated, my fingers tightening around the steering wheel. Something about this felt wrong. I typed, Claire, is this you? No response. I checked the dating app. Her profile was gone. I should have left right then, but I didn't. I don't know why. Maybe curiosity. Maybe stupidity. Maybe something was already waiting for me to step inside. I pushed open the apartment door, my pulse pounding. The place was cold, unlit, except for a single dim lamp in the living room. The air smelled wrong, stale, like rotting flowers. Claire? I called out. Silence. I took another step inside. Something crunched under my shoe. I looked down. A phone. Face down, screen shattered. And then I noticed the stains on the floor. Dark, uneven smudges leading toward the hallway. Leading further in. I should have run, but something in me needed to know. Needed to see. I followed the stains, my breathing sharp, my skin crawling. The hallway stretched into darkness, leading to a single closed door. The handle was slightly turned, like it had been left open just for me. I swallowed hard and pushed it open. The room was empty. No furniture, no bed, no Claire, just the walls. And what was written all over them? You found me. Again and again, in thick, smeared letters. I took a shaky step back, my heart hammering. My body screamed at me to leave. Now, run. Then I heard it. A sound from inside the closet. Soft, breathing. Someone was inside. I turned just as the closet door began to open. A hand emerged first, long fingers, nails too sharp. Then the door swung wide, and I saw her face. Claire. But not the Claire from the photos. Not the Claire I had spoken to. Something else. Something that had her face, but not her eyes. Her mouth twisted into a grin that stretched too far. Her teeth too sharp, too white. Then, she moved. Fast. Too fast. I ran. I didn't look back. Didn't breathe. Didn't stop. I tore down the hallway, past the dark stains on the floor, past the shattered phone, out the door, into the cold, into my car. I locked the doors, stared at the apartment, waiting for something to follow. Nothing. No one. The windows were dark. The building completely still, like nothing had ever been inside at all. I didn't sleep that night. I barely moved. And when the sun came up, I checked my phone. Her number was still blocked. But there was a new text waiting for me. From an unknown number. Happy Valentine's Day, Mason. Can't wait to see you again soon. I blocked it. Deleted everything. I don't know who or what I met that night. I don't know what would have happened if I hadn't run. But sometimes, late at night, I still dream about her. About her voice, whispering from the dark. You found me. I didn't tell anyone what happened. Not because I didn't want to, because I didn't know how. How do you explain that you want to pick up a girl for a Valentine's Day date and instead found something wearing her face? That you walked into an apartment that felt wrong, filled with the smell of rotting flowers, and found a closet where something shouldn't exist? I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face. The way she smiled, the way she moved. I wanted to believe it was my mind playing tricks on me. Some elaborate, sick prank. Maybe I had fallen into some urban legend trap, or maybe I had just imagined the whole thing in some waking nightmare. But then, the text started. The first one came at 3 a.m. Unknown number. Why did you run, Mason? I stared at my screen, my breath caught in my throat. I didn't reply. Another text came through. Unknown number. I looked pretty for you. I blocked the number, tossed my phone across the room. But no matter how hard I tried to push it out of my mind, something gnawed at me. That apartment. The way the door had been left open for me. The writing on the walls. The phone on the floor. Whose phone had that been? I forced myself to sleep, but it was shallow, restless. And when I woke up, I made the mistake of checking my phone again. There was a new message. Unknown number. Don't ignore me. It was attached to a photo. My stomach twisted as I opened it. It was me, sitting in my car outside the apartment. I dropped my phone. My skin turned ice cold. I hadn't seen anyone when I ran out of there. But someone, something, had seen me. By the time the sun rose, I had made up my mind. I needed to go back. Not inside. Not near that closet. But I needed to see the place again in daylight, to prove to myself that it had all been in my head, that the writing on the walls wouldn't be there, that the stains on the floor had been my imagination, that there was nothing hiding behind that door. I drove there in broad daylight, heart pounding the whole way. But when I pulled up to the complex, I stopped cold, because it wasn't there. The apartment building was gone. Not abandoned, not burned down, gone. The lot where it had been was empty, just cracked pavement and patches of dead grass, like nothing had ever been built there. I sat in my car, gripping the wheel, my breath uneven. No, this was wrong. I had been here just hours ago. I had walked into that building, had seen the walls covered in words, had seen her. I grabbed my phone, my fingers shaky, and searched the address on Google. Nothing. No apartment listing. No building history. Just an empty lot. I checked my map's history. My phone showed that I had driven there last night, that I had been here. But there was no street view. No images of any apartment. I checked the number that had been texting me. Gone. Every text from unknown number had disappeared. Like I had never received them. Like I had never spoken to Claire. Like she had never existed. I sat there for a long time, my mind a tangled mess of fear and confusion. Then, I saw something. A single piece of paper, caught on the wind, tumbling across the empty lot. I don't know why, but I got out of my car and grabbed it. It was a Polaroid photo. I turned it over, and my blood turned to ice. It was the same photo Claire had used as her profile picture. Same smile, same dark hair. Except this time, her eyes were black, and at the bottom of the photo, written in smudged red ink, were 3 words. You found me. I dropped the photo, got in my car, and I left. That was a year ago. I never got another text, never saw another message. But sometimes, I still dream of her. Of that empty apartment that shouldn't exist. Of the closet door slowly swinging open. Of the thing that looked like her, but wasn't. And sometimes, in the quiet of the night, when the world is still and I'm drifting between sleep and waking, I hear my phone buzz. A single message lighting up the screen. From unknown number. Happy Valentine's Day, Mason. Can't wait to see you again soon. I never open it. I never reply. But deep down, I know the truth. I did find her. And one day, she'll find me again. I should have trusted my instincts the first time I saw them. It was Valentine's Day, and my girlfriend, Olivia, and I had dinner reservations at a little Italian place in town. Nothing fancy, just a cozy, candlelit spot where we could eat pasta, drink wine, and pretend we weren't surrounded by couples drowning in their own cliches. We were standing outside the restaurant, waiting for our table, when I noticed them. A couple. Something about them was wrong. The woman had an unsettling smile, too wide, too fixed, like she had practiced it in a mirror until it became second nature. Her dark hair was perfectly styled, not a single strand out of place, and she wore an old-fashioned red dress that didn't quite fit the setting. The man next to her didn't smile at all. He didn't even blink. He just sat there, motionless, hands folded neatly in his lap, staring at nothing. Then, the woman's head snapped toward us. Her eyes locked onto mine, her grin growing just a little too wide. I looked away fast, an icy feeling creeping down my spine. Olivia nudged me. "You okay?" "Yeah," I muttered. "That couple over there is kinda weird." She glanced at them, frowning. "What couple?" I turned back. They were gone. The bench was empty. I swallowed hard, my skin crawling. I could have sworn they were just there. Before I could dwell on it, the hostess called our names. I pushed the weird feeling away. I should have listened to it. Dinner was perfect. For a while, I forgot all about the strange couple. Olivia and I laughed, shared dessert, and made plans for the rest of the night. We decided to go mini-golfing across the street while we waited for a movie to start. That's when I saw them again. The woman, the man, standing just outside the restaurant, staring at us. Not at the building, not at the street, at us. I grabbed Olivia's hand. "Let's go." She followed my gaze. Her grip tightened. What the hell? We hurried across the street, trying to shake the uneasy feeling gnawing at us. I told myself it was just a coincidence. But the second we stepped inside the mini-golf course, I knew it wasn't. The place was completely empty. No staff, no music, no other couples. Just us. Then, the door creaked open, and they walked in. Slow, deliberate, like they had followed us here. Olivia whispered, "I don't like this." Neither did I. We hurried toward the course, hoping they wouldn't follow. We played in silence, tension thick between us. I kept my eyes on the entrance, waiting for them to leave. But they didn't leave. They just watched. Then, the woman spoke. "We should play together." Her voice was too sweet, too rehearsed. I turned to face them, trying to keep my voice steady. "No thanks. We're good." The man finally moved. His lips curled into a slow, unsettling smile. His first expression of the night. He whispered something, too quiet to hear. The woman's grin didn't falter. "Are you sure?" Olivia grabbed my arm. "We're leaving." We turned, and they were already behind us. Too close. The man whispered again, just loud enough for me to catch a single word. "Run." We bolted. We didn't stop running until we were inside my car, doors locked, my hands shaking against the steering wheel. Olivia was breathing hard. What the hell was that? I didn't have an answer. We sat there in silence, catching our breath, the glow of the mini-golf sign flickering outside. Then Olivia stiffened. I followed her gaze, and my stomach dropped. The couple stood at the edge of the parking lot, still, watching, their grins wider than before. I turned the key in the ignition. The car didn't start. A chill ran through me. I turned it again. Nothing. My pulse pounded in my ears. The woman took a single step forward. I tried one more time. The engine roared to life. I slammed my foot on the gas, and as we sped away, I looked in the rearview mirror. The couple stood there, frozen, still smiling. Then, as we rounded the corner, they waved. We drove in silence, neither of us speaking until we were miles away. Only then did Olivia whisper, "How did they know your name?" My hands tightened on the wheel. "What?" She turned to me, face pale. "That guy, right before we ran. He said your name." I felt my stomach drop. No, that wasn't possible. I had never told them my name. We made it back to Olivia's house. We double-checked the locks, closed the blinds, and sat in the living room. The TV on, but neither of us watching it. I kept checking the windows, expecting to see them standing outside. But they never came. Hours passed. The tension never faded. Then, a knock at the door. Olivia and I froze. The room was silent. Another knock. Slow, deliberate. My breath caught in my throat. Tap, tap, Tap. Knuckles against wood. Then, the sound of paper sliding under the door. I hesitated before standing, my legs shaky as I stepped forward. Olivia clutched my arm, whispering, "Don't open it." I didn't. I bent down and picked up the paper. It was a photograph of Olivia and me from inside the restaurant. My hands trembled as I flipped it over. Scrawled on the back, in perfect handwriting, were 5 words. "You make a beautiful couple." I dropped the photo. Olivia covered her mouth. The knock came again. This time, the woman's voice followed. From the other side of the door. "Won't you invite us in?" I didn't move. Neither did Olivia. The air in the room felt thick, suffocating, like the walls had closed in on us. Another knock. Slow, deliberate. Then the woman's voice, too soft, too sweet. "Won't you invite us in?" I forced myself to step away from the door, my breath coming in sharp gasps. Olivia clutched my arm, her fingers digging in so tightly it hurt. She shook her head, whispering, "Don't answer." As if I had to be told. Whoever, or whatever, was out there wasn't human. I knew that now. The knocking stopped. Silence. Olivia and I exchanged a look, both of us too scared to breathe. Then, footsteps. Slow, dragging footsteps moving away from the door. Toward the window. My stomach dropped. I turned, heart hammering, just in time to see her. The woman, standing outside the living room window, staring in, her wide, unblinking eyes locked onto mine, her red dress dripping wet, like she had just crawled out of a lake. Then, slowly, she tilted her head, her mouth stretched into a grin. I yanked the curtains shut. Olivia let out a choked sob. "What do we do? Call the cops?" I fumbled for my phone, hands slick with sweat. But deep down, I knew. This wasn't something the cops could stop. I dialed 911 anyway. No signal. The call wouldn't go through. Olivia was already on her own phone, pressing redial over and over. Nothing. Then, scratch, scratch, scratch. The sound of nails dragging against the glass. We turned at the same time. The woman was still there. Only now, she was closer. Her hands were pressed flat against the window, her grin stretched impossibly wide. Then she spoke. No sound, just her lips moving, repeating one word, over and over. "Run." I grabbed Olivia's hand and bolted. We tore through the house, yanking open the back door, sprinting into the night. I don't know why I thought outside would be safer. It wasn't. The second we reached the yard, we saw him. The man, standing by the trees, waiting, smiling, his hands in his pockets, his head cocked at an unnatural angle. And just like the woman, his lips were moving. No sound, just that same word. Run. A gust of wind slammed the door shut behind us. And suddenly, we were running. I don't remember making the decision. My legs just moved. Through the backyard, through the neighbor's yard, onto the street, where the only sound was the crunch of snow under our feet. We ran for blocks. Neither of us looked back, because we knew, if we did, we'd see them following. Maybe close, maybe right behind us, maybe already reaching out. We didn't stop until we reached Olivia's friend's house, miles away. We pounded on the door like lunatics until she answered. When she saw our faces, she didn't ask questions. She just let us inside. We locked every door, closed every window, and for the next 12 hours, we sat in her living room, waiting, listening. But the couple never came. No knocks, no scratches, just silence. It wasn't until sunrise that Olivia and I finally dared to check our phones. Full signal, like nothing had ever happened. That was 4 years ago. We never went back to Olivia's house. She moved out a month later. We told people it was because of a break-in, that we saw someone outside and got spooked. We never told them the truth. Because how do you explain something like that? How do you tell someone that you were followed? Not just watched, not just stalked, followed, by something that knew our names, by something that shouldn't exist. We thought it was over. We thought we had escaped. Until last week, I was out getting coffee when my phone buzzed. A new text from an unknown number. It was a photo, a picture of Olivia and me, taken inside the restaurant 4 years ago. The exact same photo that had been slipped under the door that night. And underneath it, 5 words. "You make a beautiful couple." I felt my blood run cold. Hands shaking, I typed out a response. "Who is this?" 3 dots appeared. Then a message. "Won't you invite us in?" I haven't told Olivia yet, because deep down I know we never escaped. We only left the door open. And now, after all this time, they've come back to walk through it. Something people told themselves to explain away the unexplainable. Then I met her, and I learned the hard way that some people don't find love on Valentine's Day. Some people get chosen, and once you're chosen, you don't escape. It started with a letter. February 13th. A cold, gray morning. I was already running late for work when I found it. A red envelope, neatly tucked under my windshield wiper. At first, I thought it was from Lena. We'd been dating for a few months, and she was the type who did cute, romantic things. A Valentine's Day card before the actual day? That seemed like her style. I smiled, plucking the envelope from the glass. It had no stamp, no return address, no name. Just my own, in handwriting that looked almost too perfect. A small ripple of unease passed through me. Then I tore it open. Inside was a single folded note on old, yellowed paper, and written in black ink, in the same elegant handwriting, were 5 words. "You will be mine now." The smile faded from my face. No signature. No clue who had sent it. I glanced around the parking lot, half expecting to see someone watching me. But there was no one. Just the cold wind biting at my face, the sound of cars rushing by in the distance. I told myself it was a prank. Some idiot messing around before Valentine's Day. But I couldn't shake the feeling in my gut. Something about the letter felt wrong. Not the words. The paper. It smelled old. Like something that had been sitting in a locked box for years. I shoved it into my pocket, got into my car, and tried to forget about it. I should have thrown it away, but I didn't. That night, Lena and I went out to dinner. She noticed something was off immediately. "You okay?" she asked, swirling the wine in her glass. I forced a smile. "Yeah, just a weird day." She raised an eyebrow. "Weird how?" I hesitated. I didn't want to tell her about the letter. It felt stupid, like one of those urban legends where the second you tell someone, you pass the curse on to them, too. So I shook my head. "Just work stuff." She didn't believe me, but she let it go. The second letter came the next morning. Another red envelope. This time, it was inside my apartment, sitting neatly on my kitchen counter. I hadn't given anyone a key. My hands started shaking as I reached for it. Inside was another aged piece of paper, written in that perfect, delicate handwriting. "Do not make me wait." A chill crawled up my spine. I grabbed my phone and called Lena. "Hey," she answered, still half asleep. "Everything okay?" I gripped the note so tightly the paper crumpled in my fist. "Did you come by my apartment this morning?" She yawned. "No, why?" I swallowed hard. "Someone left me something." She sat up. "What do you mean? Like a package?" I hesitated. How was I supposed to explain this without sounding insane? I opened my mouth, and then I heard it. A knock at my front door. I nearly dropped the phone. It was soft, almost gentle, like whoever was on the other side was waiting for me to open it. Lena's voice pulled me back. "Who is that?" I stood frozen, my heartbeat thundering. I didn't answer her. I was too focused on the door, because through the small gap beneath it, I could see something. A shadow, standing completely still, waiting. Then, another knock, and a voice. Soft, sweet. "Let me in." I hung up the phone, and I did not move. I don't know how long I stood there. Maybe minutes, maybe hours. Eventually, the shadow disappeared, and when I finally worked up the courage to check through the peephole, there was no one there. But another red envelope sat at my feet. I picked it up with trembling hands, opened it. Inside was a Polaroid, a photo of me, taken from inside my apartment. I stopped breathing. Then I turned it over. Scrawled on the back was a single word. "Tonight." I called Lena. She didn't pick up. I grabbed my jacket and keys, my pulse racing. I needed to get out of my apartment, out of town, somewhere far away. I yanked open the front door, and my heart stopped. She was standing right there. Not Lena. Her. The woman from the letters. Dressed in an old-fashioned red dress, the fabric damp with something dark. Her head was tilted slightly, a soft, knowing smile on her lips. Her eyes never blinked. I slammed the door shut, locked it, then stumbled backward, my breath coming in sharp, painful bursts. I fumbled for my phone, my hands shaking uncontrollably. Dialed 911. No signal. The apartment lights flickered. Then the TV turned on by itself. Static. Then, a voice. Her voice. Soft. Sweet. You will be mine now. Then, the power cut out. The apartment went completely dark. And in the silence, a single, soft knock. Right against the bedroom door. Inside my apartment. I wasn't alone anymore. I wasn't anywhere near alone. I stopped breathing. The knock had come from inside my apartment. I knew the front door was still locked. I had just locked it, which meant that somehow, someway, she was already inside. Another knock, softer this time, right against my bedroom door. Then, the doorknob turned. I stumbled backward, my heartbeat a frantic, uneven mess. I had no weapon, no way out, just a wall behind me and that door slowly creaking open. In the darkness, I saw her, the woman from the letters, standing in the doorway. Her red dress clung to her like wet fabric, her dark hair hanging in damp strands over her face. Her head tilted, and then she smiled. Not wide, not unnatural, a small, quiet smile, like she was happy to see me. "You're mine now," she whispered. The lights flickered back on, and she was gone. Just like that, like she had never been there at all. I didn't sleep that night. I don't think I even moved. I just sat on the floor, staring at the bedroom door, waiting for another knock that never came. When the sun finally rose, I forced myself to stand. I felt like a man crawling out of a grave. Everything was exactly how I had left it, except for one thing. The envelope. Another red envelope, sitting neatly on my pillow, with no explanation of how it got there. My hands shook as I picked it up, tore it open. Inside, another Polaroid. This one of me, from last night, lying in bed, sleeping. But the worst part, I wasn't alone in the photo. She was there too, lying beside me, her face inches from mine, watching me. I left town that same day, packed a bag and got the hell out. I didn't tell Lena the truth. I couldn't. I just said I needed space. That something felt off, and I needed time to figure things out. She didn't understand, but she let me go. I moved 3 states away, changed my number, did everything I could to disappear. For a while, I thought it had worked, that I had escaped whatever the hell had claimed me that night. Then, last Valentine's Day, I got a package. No return address, just a small box wrapped in red paper. I didn't want to open it. Every instinct in my body screamed at me to burn it, but I had to know. Inside was a Polaroid, a picture of me, sitting right here, in my new apartment, taken from the closet, and written on the back, in that same delicate handwriting, "You will be mine soon." I dropped the photo, backed away from the box like it was a live grenade. But there was something else inside, something small. I hesitated before reaching for it, pulled it out with trembling hands. A red envelope, waiting to be opened. I never did. I threw it in the trash, packed my bags, and left again. Because I know the truth now. There is no escaping her. It doesn't matter where I go. She'll always find me. And when she does, when I finally open that last envelope, that's when she'll take me.